Guys, I just got done with a video call interview for the show, and I have to say that it was like the sickest ever. Didn't have any issues or anything, and the video came out almost perfect. And do you know why? It's because I used Riverside. Riverside is your online recording studio where you can record a conversation with any guest online. You can easily record podcasts and videos in studio quality from anywhere, all from your browser or their mobile app. All you have to do is get your setup ready, send your guests a link for them to join, have them join from their phone or their computer, and just chat away. A lot of podcasts that you listen to are probably using Riverside, honestly. What sets Riverside apart is that a recording of your audio and your video is happening locally on your computer. So even if your connection isn't that good, it doesn't ruin the entire recording or anything. Once you've finished recording, you will get the individual tracks of each speaker and also a combined one. You'll receive all the raw files, including that Pepsi crystal clear uncompressed audio and up to 4K video. There's also lots of really cool features where you can edit your video right in their site. So, you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, or streamer, or a content creator of any kind, and you want to have high quality conversations with your guests, please use my link in the description and sign up for Riverside. If you want to support me in the channel, please use my link since I end up getting a cut from the sales. I'm not joking. Please support me. Sign up for Riverside and start recording today. It's the I'm Clifford Today show. Yeah, quick reminder to everyone. This is going to be the last live streamed episode for the foreseeable future. I mean, like I always say never, because maybe circumstances will change and I'll feel a lot more confident about doing live shows. But yeah, this will be the last live show. But, you know, for those of you who don't watch live, won't really make much of a difference. So at least it shouldn't. But anyways, welcome to the show. Man, I don't know why, but like these 2 weeks felt like the longest for some reason. It feels like a lot has happened, especially since I felt like there were a lot of music releases that I want to talk about, in my humble opinion, and I'm not even going to be able to get to everything that has come out. But yeah, anyways, today we are joined by Abacab by Genesis, one of my favorite bands, and it's a pretty good album. It's a really good pop rock album, and it still kind of has their elements of progressive rock, but it's mostly, you know, good strong 80s pop rock. Not quite fully realized as it was in Invisible Touch, but it's still good. I'm forgetting my whole spiel. Podwood Forecast. the other podcast that I'm on that I do with my friend Mitchell, we just recently we finally released our favorite films of 2023, which I forgot. I still gotta, I was planning on posting those on social media anyways. I tend to wait on posting my lists until those episodes are out because I don't want to steal from the thunder of those episodes. But now it's been out for a few days, I'm going to post them, even though no one really cares about my top 10 lists from 2023 in the middle of March. But I don't care. But yeah, definitely go check it out, that new episode. And of course, this is going to be the topic for today. But just a quick reminder to you guys. I'm turning up my mic a little bit. Hopefully that's not too much. Just a quick reminder to you guys. I got a new song just came out the other day from Sherwood Forest. It's called Disentangle. And it's not a cover. It's not anything. It's a new original song. And I think you guys should check it out, personally. We're going to be talking about it today. So, I don't know. Maybe take a break from watching this and go listen to it. But we're going to play it on the show anyway, so you'll get to hear it. But yeah, so it's out. It's out on all the platforms. It's even out on Bandcamp, so you can buy it on there if you want to support me personally. But honestly, I don't care either way. If you listen to it on Spoofy, Spotify, or Apple Music, whatever, it's out there. So I just want you all to listen to it. One other thing is that, and maybe if she makes some clips, I might share them on the next show. But I was a guest I was a guest on another podcast. I actually was able to be the guest on a show. It's called Masked Monologues, and I got to talk about what I do here. Basically, I got to talk about Christian music, and all that, and it was a fun time. It was a fun conversation. So, link to that episode in the description of the episode, to the Masked Monologues episode. Go check it out and check out her show. It's a good time. What is her name? I don't know, because she is anonymous, and that's kind of the whole appeal. Well, on social media, she's known as AKA Girl. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, just look up Masked Monologues, and it's there. There's a link in the description to the episode, but if you want to look it up on whatever platform you use, it's there. So, yeah, all right. So, got a lot to talk about today. I know the main subject of today is Disentangle, the new single, but I'm kind of going to be cramming a lot of stuff into this episode because there's a lot to talk about, because I'm not going to fill a whole episode just talking about one song. That would be silly. So, a couple of things, a couple of updates. So, one update for me is that was it last weekend? Oh, I guess no, not last weekend. It was Thursday, so last week. I attended Winter Jam Tour Spectacular with my friend Nick Gundy. He came along with me because I tricked him, and I made we filmed a video. And, well, we filmed footage there. I still plan on filming more for the video. But yeah, I'm making the video for Winter Jam. I talked about it before, but it's finally happened. I went and I suffered. And pretty soon, once I'm done with the video, you guys will be able to suffer with me. Although you're not going to suffer. The video you guys are going to watch, I'm going to make sure is fun and entertaining, and you guys will not be able to experience what I experienced. I mean, unless you went to Winter Jam yourself, which in that case, then good for you. But I think it's going to be a fun video. I can't wait to get started on it. I'm planning on getting started on it. If not later today, then next week for sure. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. It was the first time I had gone to Winter Jam in probably 10 years, honestly. The last Winter Jam that I attended, I think, was
when Toby Mac was there, and that was like after his Eye on It album. So it feels like it was like 10 years ago. So that was wild. There are some things that I'm going to be very vague because I'm going to leave it up to the video to explain everything. But it was there are some things that I didn't expect, but it was more so just not that surprising of an experience. But we'll talk about that. But I'll give you guys some updates on that when that video is done and when it will be out. So fun. Very, very much hype. All right, so a little bit, let's kind of some announcements. Well, I guess one. So y'all know how much I hype up Audiofeed all the time. And this is another reason why it seemed like 2 weeks ago from the last episode was a long time ago. Oh, which, by the way, check out the last episode. An amazing conversation with Joshua Porter from Showbread. Yeah, go check it out. Thanks, guys, for the love on that episode. But Audiofeed has announced their lineup for the most part. There's a couple artists that are to be announced, but yeah, they announced their full lineup, and yeah, it seemed like it was like a long time ago that they did this, and I'm finally getting around to it. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. I'm just gonna kind of go through the whole lineup here. So we got like the main headliners here. We got Andy Squires, Citizens, Glenn Kaiser, Impending Doom. Very nice. I haven't listened to them in a long time, but I was pretty big into them at one point, so that should be fun. I saw them live once years ago, a long time ago. John Van Dusen is returning 2 years in a row, and so I'm excited about that. We got Spoken, Symphony in Peril, The Choir. The Ongoing Concept is returning once again, so that's cool. The Protest, With Blood Comes Cleansing, TBA to be announced. And actually, they did announce one not too long after that, like a couple days after announcing that, and they announced another artist. I always forget her name, but she is from Paper Horses. She's a part of that whole collaboration. Taylor Leonhardt. So she'll be joining. She'll be joining the lineup as well. So that's going to be really cool. I need to listen to more of her stuff, but I do like Paper Horses. So yeah. And then we of course have not smaller, but the not headlining artists and such. It's a mishmash of like local and small and independent. We got ADIY, Alma Russ, Angel Machine. Y'all remember them from oh, I didn't know I could highlight this. That's cool. Y'all remember them from the Audiofeed documentary. They were one of the people that I interviewed. Really cool people. As We Are, Autumn's Descent, B. Wade, Badlands. Before there was Rosalind, Benjamin Daniel. Of course, we like Benjamin Daniel. He's a good friend. Big Rev, Boha Tribe. I'm making sure that I'm reading this all correctly. Brave Days. They were not too long ago. They were a spotlight artist on this show. Really cool guys. Great music. Brightest London, Brother Red Squirrel, Carlos the Bear, Cedars Brothers, Chalk Lines, Christian Welch, Crimson Overtone, DeMac, Dens, which I haven't listened to Dens myself, but for some reason, because of the Spotify algorithms, I guess, if you go to Sherwood Forest's artist page on Spotify and look at the like the fans also like or listen to segment, Dens is in there for some reason, which I don't think we really sound anything alike, but that's cool. I guess it's because it's the Audiofeed group. Empty Atlas, another spotlight artist that we've had on the show. Great music. Freddie Lozambi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Fire Band. Gabrielle Grace. Gaffer Project. He's the guy that cut my hair in the documentary. Grasslands. Good Saint Nathaniel, a friend of the channel. He was on the documentary as well. Harry Gore. I Am the Pendragon. Ignescent. I named my glasses. Ignescent. Insomniac Folklore. Ray. Jacob Goins. I played a show with him, and I've talked about his music before. Really talented guy. Jigalchi. I need to zoom in because I cannot see this small lettering. No, zoom in more. Okay, that's better. Jigalchi, Jeff Elbill, Ping, Joe Bauman, and the Righteous Few. Joel Weir, Joseph Camuglia. I'm just butchering these names, I know. Joshua Crozier, Junia, Kept on Hold, good guys. I've hung out with them. Kevin Schlurth, of course, he's one of the guys running the show. He's got great music. I played a show with him too. Cons, I don't know. Laura Ann Rietzel, Leones, Leper, Low Cellar, Loon, the band, just in case there's any confusion there. Make Sure, great guy. I've been listening to his music lately. Really cool. I saw him at Audiofeed last year. Monarchs to Oblivion, Nathan K, Orion Walsh, Outward Conversation, Oyarsa, Ravenhill, good band, Real Face, Relesser, Remorsefully Numb, Retrovia, Rig Time, Rosemont, Rusty Vining, also an artist, a spotlight artist from the show. Great music, and it seems like a really cool guy. Safe Kept, Spaceships, good band. St. Lennox, Steve Chab Band, Still Castle, Stonewall Static, Terminus Victor, the Castros, the Jericho Harlot, the Lionhearted, the Maggie Valley Band, the Noisy Do-Gooders, the Other White Meat. It's a great string of names here. The Stereo Flowers, the Uh-Ohs, the Undertaking, Theoterin, Todd Anthony, Jews and the Revelators, Todd Finey, Together in Dust, Triland, Eltsroth, Tricord, Turtle Doves, Undefeated, Vanessa E, Visitor Pass, which, remember that name for later in this episode, Visitor Pass, Wade 31, White Set, Who Am I, Windwards, good guy, really cool guy. I'm going to assume that this is 13 minutes, pronounced 13 minutes, and 3 days under and more. So there could be more that are added. Plus, we've got V8 Vast Change presents a night of local hip hop. So V8 Vast Change, that's Dominic Stevenson. He's a good guy. I went to youth group with him, actually, and so it's really cool. I don't know if this means that if he's going to be doing his own material as well, but it sounds like it's just going to be like just a whole kind of like open mic of hip hop artists, I'm guessing. And also UTR Media presents A Night for Rich, featuring David Mullins, brothers McClurg, Johan Glidden, and more. And it's going to be a night of, I guess, of honoring Rich Mullins and just being a tribute to his music. So that should be cool. And then we also got some special guest speakers. Andy Squires himself, Belly Lozambi, Lloyd Harp, Melody Green. No, not the wife of Keith Green. It's another Melody Green. And Nate Allen from Destroy Nate Allen. And more. Ecstasis Magazine. Also, Ecstasis Magazine presents Inkwell, A Morning of Arts and Ideas. So that's going to be some sort of visual arts thing that I don't really know a whole lot about, but I've seen some posts about it. So we'll see about that. Yeah, so I guess this is like sort of an advertisement for Audiofeed, but you can buy your tickets at Audiofeed Festival. livestream.com. I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be, unless they ask me last minute, they haven't really. I'm not going to be as involved as I was last year when I interviewed a couple of those artists. But I am going to be there with my own table, own booth, and we're talking about it right now. And it seems that the plan is that, because I still want to interview some artists and for the show, and so we're talking about what that could look like, if I, where I would have my table or booth, whatever. But I'm gonna be there nonetheless. I'm planning on getting some like banners or tablecloth or whatever to make my table a little bit more, set apart than it was last time. Felt like it was very ghetto last time. Yeah, so very much hype. I might be sharing some updates with whoever else they announce, but I'm super excited. I'm planning on reaching out to some of these artists that I'm big fans of, so to see if they will be on the show. So more about that later. But yeah, so Audiofeed, really excited. It's so interesting how like it feels like Audiofeed like just got done and then we're like already talking about it again. So that's I'm really excited about it. Okay, well, let's see. We perhaps now would be a good time. We're gonna talk about Disentangle. I guess I should have done like some sort of like run through of what we're gonna talk about today. We are gonna talk about Disentangle, but I should take this off. We are also going to be talking about the CCM tournament that's going on Twitter, because I think it would be fun to talk about. But that won't be till later. We're going to get to Disentangle. But first, we'll just go ahead and do a break, because why just talk about it for a few minutes just to take a break? So we have a really cool spotlight artist in store for you guys, and a bunch of other... we'll show a preview of the new Podwood Forecast episode as well. So yeah, got all that for you, and then we'll be right back after this short break. So don't go away. Bye.
This time on the Podwood Forecast.
Speaking of Chris Rock, the thing I sent you about the guy who directed Another Round, which was like a foreign film with Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
I guess Chris Rock is directing an American remake of it, and the guy who directed the original one was like, if that movie sucks, he's gonna get slapped again or something.
Which I
think is really funny. Who wants to watch a Wonka origin story and have the emotional ending and be like, look at Wonka. Oh my god, your chocolate.
Wonka.
He's making his chocolate factory. It's still those dumb things you watch. It's like, oh, and the ending is like, I made my chocolate factory. It's like, I don't know. I've seen the movie. You kill children in this.
Ends.
Like, I'm not excited for you to make this.
Does he die?
You're going to kill and torture children in this someday. Like, this is weird. I'm like, Godzilla -1.
Some Japanese titles is just like, what?
I love
it. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah. You Japanese.
It's like that with video games too. Like Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. That's real. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Here, I'll Google it for you.
Okay. Yeah.
What is wrong with Michael J. Fox? Sorry. What was...
Listen to the Podwood Forecast wherever podcasts are found. Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening to the I'm Clifford Today show. Right now we're going to take a few minutes to listen to this week's spotlight artist, Visitor Pass, and their track entitled White Noise. You can find their music on any platform you prefer, including Bandcamp, where you can purchase their music and support the artist directly. Links provided in the description of the episode.
All this talking like you just wanna get out of here. But all I see you do is lie around in your apartment staring. What are you waiting for, the Calvary?
If you're a Christian artist and would like to hear your music in the Spotlight segment, send an email to the address in the description of the episode. And now, back to the show.
All right, oh shoot, I forgot. Wait, what? Now the camera's. Where did the camera go? Where did the camera go? This is for the birds. Everything's for the birds. Okay, see? What I tell you guys? This is exactly why I'm not doing the live stream anymore. Because of stuff like this. Don't know why. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean for that hard cut to happen. I clicked the wrong transition, and so we're just here right now. But anyways, what I was trying to do, I was trying to get to this screen right here, which actually we don't need to see this. We need to see this. So, actually no. Not yet. We're going to wait for that. First of all, thank you so much for what am I looking for? Yeah, thanks so much to Visitor Pass for being the spotlight artist for this week. Appreciate you supporting the show. Fun little fact, Visitor Pass is actually the wife of Chris Bernstorff, who was the spotlight artist of last week, the spoken word artist. And so he had asked me to for if both of them could be a spotlight artist, and I said yes. And remember, I told you to remember the name Visitor Pass. They are also, well, the band, her, the solo, I don't know, but Visitor Pass is going to be at Audiofeed as well. So that's really cool because I really like that song. It's very catchy, very earwormy. Just get some good old indie garage rock, if that's what you call it. I don't know. Sometimes I'm really bad at genre names, even though I call myself a music critic. But yeah. So anyways, thanks so much to Visitor Pass and to Chris. And I don't remember her name, but I'm sorry. But thank you so much. All right, now let's stop talking about other people's music. Let's talk about my music. So yeah, new song, Disentangle. I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit and just talk about the a little bit of behind the scenes, but mainly talk about what the song is about and you know, what's the big deal about it. So I decided to make a song about deconstruction. You know, obviously, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail and everything. But what does that mean by like me writing a song about this deconstruction? Am I like in support of it? I mean, if you guys know me, you should know my stances on deconstruction. Which I guess, you know, I'll just say my stance is on, and I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot about deconstruction lately. Talked about deconstruction with the Newsboys video, which, by the way, thank you still again for the support for that video. And now I'm talking about it now in this song, and I'm really not as obsessed with deconstruction as people may think that I am. I'm planning on taking a break from deconstruction for a while if I can. But I decided to make a song about deconstruction from I was going to explain my stance on deconstruction. Deconstruction it's fine as long as you're doing it the biblical way. If we're talking about deconstruction in the sense of like
questioning your faith or having doubts and wanting to reform your faith in a way and make sure that what you believe is actually your own faith, then yeah, I'm all for it. I'd say that everyone goes through those phases, and if they don't, then they're just being silly. But deconstruction, if we're going to call it that, see, I don't like calling it that because even though I use it a lot, it's the most popular. It's because that's what everyone says. But I don't like it because that's the term that's been hijacked by like TikTok and such. They use hashtag deconstructing and deconstructing Christianity. And it's really less about reforming your faith and more about just deconverting from Christianity altogether. And that's what I don't like about it, and that is definitely the major issues that I have with deconstruction, but it's mostly because it's the problem that I have with the recent movement, because a lot of progressive Christians and non-believers have hijacked it to basically make it mean that. Well, it means either to for many of them, it means to either deconvert entirely from Christianity or just morph your Christianity into something that is totally unorthodox. So that's where I have a problem with it, but I have no problem because I'm sure that this includes many of you guys, I have no problem with people who reevaluate their faith and, make sure that the key is to be going to the Bible and going to the source. So that's my stance on deconstruction. But I decided to write a song from the perspective of someone who was deconstructing or who was having doubts and questions and such. So I decided to write the song from that perspective. And I'll be going through the lyrics, of course. And so the song, I basically mean it as a sort of critique and I guess call to action for both Christians who are deconstructing and to churches and pastors as to how they should deal with this, with members of their congregation who are going through this phase. So that's what deconstruction is about. What Disentangle is about. Wow, I can't talk today. I'm so sorry. But and why I picked Disentangle, I actually got that term from one of my favorite podcasts, Cultish. That's a term that they like to use because Cultish, they're interacting with lots of people who were raised in cults, even Christian cults. And so in order for them to come to Christ, they had to, quote, disentangle a lot of the false beliefs that they were raised with. And so I like that term, and I decided to, put that in the song and, have that be the title and I guess the main chorus of the song. So that's where that comes from. If I had a choice, I wouldn't call it deconstruction anymore. I would call it disentangling. I like disentangling or reforming, and I'm not referring to like Reformed theology or anything. I'm not a Calvinist or anything, even though there's a lot of Reformed theologians that I respect and agree with on a lot, just not Calvinists. Yeah, so without further ado, we're just going to kind of play through the song. Just have a little listening party, I guess. And that's going to be the main point of what we're going to do. So we're just going to, and I'm going to talk about it. I'll pause it at certain points. But yeah, let's just start from the beginning. And hopefully I got the audio levels good enough for you guys. For those of you who, if you guys are watching live, you can tell me if anything's too loud or not loud enough. But we'll just go with this for now. This is the beginning. Okay, so
little story behind this intro, well, basically behind this synth, is that oh shoot, my notes are showing. You can't look at my notes. That's not for you guys to read. Also, I want to hide those text messages. Not that there's anything bad, it's just private, you know. You guys don't need to see that. I don't even know if you actually, maybe you couldn't see it, so it's okay. Anyways, so this synth is basically what birthed this whole song in the first place. I mean, I'd always had ideas of writing a song about this topic before, but fun fact, this song was kind of, the sound of this song was kind of birthed out of me working on another song. I was working on this other song, which is yet to be finished, and I'm really excited whenever it is finished to be able to show you guys. But I was messing around with different sounds that I wanted on the synth, and I discovered this one. And while it did not fit at all in the song that I was working on, I really liked it. And I started messing around with it, and basically the song formed around this sound. As you can tell as you listen, it's the most prominent instrument in the song, so of course the whole song is going to just form around it. And that's basically how it happened. That's kind of, it's very similar to what happened with my song Even in the Wild. That song was also basically written around this particular synth sound. And I don't know, I love synths. I'm not like a big nerd, like and I don't mean that as an insult, but like I'm not like a big nerd like Ronnie Martin or anything. I don't really know about all the different Moog synths and different keyboards. I'm definitely more of a computer synthesizer guy, you know, where I just pick all the different sounds that I like. I'm like, hey, that sounds good. And, you know, I can play them well enough, so I use them. So I'm not like a big, I'm not completely savvy as most other keyboard players and synthesizers, but I definitely love me some synths. If you have not been able to tell with my other music, I'm very big on it. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind the synth and just kind of how the song came to be. I wrote the song around the sound, and wrote the lyrics to it. So yeah, let's just keep it playing. I gotta say, I am a big fan of this intro. I love how it builds up, you know, and it's just like, oh, what is going on, you know? I want to make sure that the levels are okay live. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. It's a bit loud. But yeah, so that of course is like the big where the song really comes in. And so I of course had some help with this song. I had Brooks Ferris play the drums on this. You can find Brooks Ferris is a great drummer. He has a Fiverr account, so if you need him for any drumming needs, he's there for you. And then on the bass, on that big fat bass, is my friend Nick Gundy, who was very gracious enough to play bass. I mean, he went to college just for bass, so of course he knows what he's doing, and he knew exactly what I wanted for this song, with just that big, you know, fat bass, you know, like I said.
But otherwise, everything else was me. I did the synths and the guitars, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Also, I almost forgot, but shout out to Spencer Annis for mixing and mastering this song. He's over at Honeyverb. He reached out to me a long time ago. Well, not like a long time ago. Maybe almost like, I don't know, 6 or 9 months ago. I'm not even sure. But he discovered my music, and he reached out to me and said that he really liked it and that he wanted to work with me sometime. And so I was like, hey, sure, I am working on some new music, so I'll get in touch with you sometime. And so this was the first song that we've worked together on, and I'm definitely going to be working with him some more. But yeah, he mixed and mastered the whole thing. He's a very talented guy, as well as he's his own songwriter as well. He does his own music. So definitely check out Spencer Annis and check out Honeyverb. I follow them on Instagram, so that's where you can find them. But yeah, really talented guy. So let's listen to. Oh, those were my notes again. But I mean, you know, that's fine. Those are just my notes on my my humble opinion reviews. I just gotta have notes, okay? All right.
Now I'm asking for directions. No one here can play the part. I got here a load of questions, and they go on and on and on and on and on.
So basically, you know, right now the narrator is, you know, I mean, it's pretty straightforward in the lyrics if you know what he's talking about, but he has I have a load of questions. No one here can play the part, which means no one has been able to help me out with these questions and my doubts at whatever church I'm going to. And so this is written from the perspective of someone who has these doubts, but they don't feel like anyone has been able to answer their questions for them. So yeah, with my vocals there, that was one thing that I knew, like right from the get-go of writing this song, that I wanted to have that sort of like megaphone sort of feel to it. I don't even know why. I gotta be honest, I don't know where I got the inspiration for this sound. This is very different. Now, hopefully not too different, but I've never done a Sherwood Forest song like this before. And for the first time, I can't really, because usually with my other music, I tend to steal from other artists that I like in terms of like sound and vibe. I mean, of course, I'm not, actually copying other artists, but I feel like that I wear a lot of my inspirations on my sleeve. And like whenever I if I could play any Sherwood Forest song, I can usually like point to what artists I was listening to at the time and what artists inspired me for this song. And I think I kind of can from this song because I've been listening to a lot of PD, and he usually has a really good mix of, I love his mix of like heavy rock and melodic pop synth kind of sound. So I guess there's a little bit of that. And also the only other one that I can think of, there was this Tooth and Nail band called Number One Gun. I wasn't like a huge fan of them, but they have this one song called The Victory that also I feel like has that perfect blend of synth pop and rock, with like heavy drums and heavy guitars, which the guitars haven't come in yet, but they will eventually. So, but those are the only ones that I can really think of, and I can't even say that this song was directly inspired by either of them. It just kind of happened. So yeah, this song just kind of came to be, I guess. And so I don't really know where I got the megaphone effect, like where I got that idea, but I just knew that it fit in there for some reason. So, but yeah, anyways, let's continue on. Here are the guitars. So yeah, I played the guitars on this, and I'm not really I don't consider myself a guitarist, a guitar player. I can get by on a guitar. But I typically don't play guitar on my own music because I'm just not that great at it, and so it's just usually best to have someone else do it. But for this song, for some reason, I knew that there was something really specific that I wanted. I mean, as simple as it is, it was something specific that I wanted that I felt like I couldn't really explain well to any other guitarist. So I figured, like, hey, I know what I want, so let's see if I can do it. And I did it, and I just wanted the chug 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 kind of sound. And there was also a more specific thing that I wanted that comes in later in the song that I knew that I wouldn't be able to describe to anyone, so I just did it myself. So, but we'll get to that part when it comes up. I also really, just shout out to Spencer. I really like the panning of that synth sound, that da-dum, 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 how it just kind of like swims around in your ears. It's great. Okay, so what that is referring to, I've formed a lot of habits. I've picked up some new thoughts. That's basically someone who has been raised with a lot of bad theology, a lot of bad beliefs, but the narrator doesn't really know which one is right and which one is wrong, and so he's trying to kind of like pick through the weeds and figure out what is the good stuff. He's like, I don't know if they're good or bad, but I know that I've been doubting things a lot. So yeah. So at this point, our narrator is feeling despair because they're in a setting where they feel like, and I'm not saying that this is the case for every Christian, but I'm saying that this is the case for this character, this narrator, that he doesn't feel like that he's in a position where he can voice these doubts and these questions. It talks about what's the point of this communion if I'm feeling so alone. He's in this church, and but he feels like that he's the only one dealing with these conversations. And there's a line, I'm too scared to throw my hand up, meaning like he's too scared to like raise his hand for a question, because he just feels that pressure around him that he's going to be either ridiculed or made fun of, or people are going to say that, oh, you're not a true believer if you're having these doubts, how could you have these questions, and so he basically just kind of resigns at the end of this verse. Guess I'll figure out the answers on my own, which I feel like is such a mournful, it's meant to be a mournful line, because that shouldn't be the case for
for Christians who have questions, who have doubts, who, you know, need some things just kind of straightened out for them. Every Christian, every member of your church, I guess I'm calling out to you pastors and leaders, every Christian should feel comfortable enough to talk about these things and not have any fear of being ostracized or, you know, judged. So yeah, I mean, just as long, like, if you take, of course someone can take it too far, and, you know, but that's usually when it's less about questions and more about, like, this is what I believe, and if you don't think that I'm right, then you're judging me. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who just are reading stuff in the Bible or examining certain things that we believe, and they're like, I can't make sense of that, and I really need help to someone to help me make sense of that. And I think that's something that should be maybe not like encouraged, but like welcomed in a sense, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna take it back a little bit because we're about to get into the heavy part, so I didn't want to detract from that. So
Answers on my own. Disentangle me. Disentangle me. Disentangle me.
and of course, yeah, I mean, we talked about what disentangle means. Here's that guitar part. Yeah, so that guitar part especially, I knew what I wanted with it, and so that's why I just went ahead and did it. And I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself because, like I said, I'm not a guitarist. I just kind of, I knew the notes that I wanted, and I just kind of figured it out from there. And so that's what I went with. Originally, I just had I had layered two guitars doing that part, but then I was like, nah, it needs more oomph to it, and so I added that one guitar, and it goes bow 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 down 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 down. So yeah, very very proud of that part personally, and I knew that had to be like the big moment in the song. So yeah.
I guess I'm getting some direction. I think I know which way to start. I guess I gotta get back to the source and figure out my way and get back to your heart. Disentangle me.
Yeah, so and that last part is definitely more of a positive note, but I left it a little vague because it's like, well, did this, because the line is, I guess I'm getting some direction, and I think I know which way to start. That probably means that he eventually was able to find someone who could help him out with the questions that he had. Either way, he figured out that he needs to go back to the source, God's word, and that needs to be the standard of his questioning and his searching. That needs to be the groundwork of his journey, you know, of his faith journey, as people say. So, yeah, and whether that means he actually got some help from his church,
I'm not really sure. I'm just the writer. I don't know these things. But either way, I wanted to bring home that point that needs to be our firm foundation of when we are struggling with those questions and doubts. So yeah. I think that was the end. So yeah, that's Disentangle. I am pretty proud of it personally. I think it's, I'm not saying that the song is important or anything, but I think it has what I'm trying to say is important with, you know, yes, there are a lot of big issues with the deconstruction movement and everything that's going on with that, but that doesn't mean that we throw the baby out with the bathwater, which I think a lot of conservative Christians are doing. They're saying that like, it seems like they're saying all forms of deconstruction are bad. And yes, I get it. I don't like the term deconstruction just because it's been hijacked. But we can't ignore the fact that that's what a lot of Christians are using that term. I've had a lot of people come to me and they're using the term deconstruction, but I know that what they mean is that they are, at least what I hope they mean is that they are trying to, find a more biblically based faith that, I guess that works for them, And what I mean by that is because, we have Baptists, we have Pentecostals and all that. While all those are different, doesn't mean that any one of them is anti-biblical or anything. So yeah, that song was basically what I think that it's both I mean it both as a letter to deconstructing Christians as well as to the church, and how everyone on both sides should deal with this issue. And I talk a little bit about that in the in my Newsboys and Deconstruction video that I just came out with. You guys can check that out. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to come across in this song. So hopefully you guys like it. I sent the song to a bunch of different friends of mine and artists, songwriters and music reviewers, and they had a lot of really cool things to say about it. So it seems that people are liking it. That's the thing about like being a YouTube content creator versus a musician. When you release something on YouTube, you get like instant feedback. Usually, people can comment on it and such. But you can't really do that with music. Like on Spotify, there's no comment section or anything. So, but I'm just going off of what my friends have told me. I'm like, okay, I think it's good. But let me know what you guys thought. Think of the song. You can leave a comment on this video. Sorry, I'm getting dry throat all of a sudden. And of course you can listen to the whole song all the way through without me interrupting it. I know a lot of people that bothers a lot of people for some reason. I've had people like, and I was afraid that it was going to happen in the Newsboys and Deconstruction video. But years ago, I did an essay on LEG by Newsboys, and I actually had comments of people saying, "Yeah, man, just play the whole song all the way through. Stop interrupting." And I'm like, dude, I'm doing a video. Like, if you want to listen to the song, go listen to the song. You're not going to be able to do it here because plus YouTube's not going to like that. And that's not what the purpose of my video was, is to just have a listening session. So if there was anyone who is annoyed by me interrupting my own song today, I apologize, but just go listen to the song. Not saying that anyone actually would be upset, but yeah, so that's Disentangle. Hope you guys like it. And I think that's it for for Disentangle. I'm working on some other songs. Like I said, I hope to release a full EP hopefully this year. But at the very least, another song. So that there will be updates about that for sure. So we shall see what we shall see. All right. What else? What we got next? Oh, yes. We've got, if I can pull it up here, we've got the CCM tournament going on. So, if you guys don't know what this is, for you guys who, it's basically mostly for everyone who's on, on Twitter, basically. So this started last year it was started by Eric, I always got to pull up his name because I can't remember exactly how to pronounce it. Eric McClanahan. That's what it is. And he did this last year, and it was kind of a big deal. And he's doing it again this year. So basically what it is, it's a CCM tournament. It's all these different Christian artists that, popular Christian artists, and it's basically like it's one of those tournament things where there are different brackets, and you pick one over the other, and it just keeps on going until there's a final winner. And he puts these on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, and has people vote on them, and it just keeps going until there's a winner that is declared. And so this year, in 2024, I think the criteria for all these different artists is that it's based off of their they're in different categories. There's 70s through the 80s, and then there's the 90s. I'm just gonna pull it up, show you guys, because I got my own right here. We got the 70s and 80s, and then we've got the 90s, and then we got the early 2000s, and then we got the 2010s and 2020s. And they're all like put up against each other, and we just kind of, I added the text thing because I'm going to do my own real quick. Hopefully that won't take too long of our time, but I'm just going to do it anyways. We're doing it live. So it's a really fun time. And so if you guys, we're still in the middle of the tournament. So if you guys want to participate, you can just follow Eric McClanahan on, he's also at in Everglow on Twitter. You can follow him and check out the whatever polls that are live right now. Because the early rounds of the tournament, they're already over, and you can't vote on them yet anymore. So, but I'm just gonna do my own one real quick, and then I'll share. I want to talk about all these artists, but then we'll go back and I'll share like where the tournament's at, like on Twitter so far, like who's in the lead. So, yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start from the bottom. Now we're here. So we're going to start from the 70s and 80s. First up, we got Amy Grant against Steve Taylor. Now, I'm sorry, but I've never really joined the hype on Amy Grant. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But I've never really, never really was that big into her. She's fine. I guess it's mostly because I don't really get into a lot of female pop singers. I'm really picky about that, and I just don't always relate, as a guy. So, but Amy Grant, she's talented for sure. But you guys know, I'm Steve Taylor is the king. He's such a talented guy. I love his solo work, but of course, I grew up listening to his input in the early Newsboys days. He really was influential in making the Newsboys who they were at the time. So, and Steve Taylor, he's just so talented, one of my favorite songwriters. So I just got to go with him. So we're going to go with Steve Taylor. I might have to. There we go. I should have made the text smaller probably, but whatever. Is there a way to make it smaller? I don't even know how to work a PDF. Oh well, we're just gonna keep going. All right, next up we got Sandy Patty against Carmen. I think my mom listened to a lot of Sandy Patty. Not me personally. I guess if I have to pick, I don't care. iCloud, sorry. If I had to pick one, it would be Carmen, because I definitely listened to a lot more Carmen growing up, and I did enjoy him as a kid. Not so much anymore, but you gotta appreciate Carmen and what he did. So, come on. Why can I not edit the text? Oh. Carmen, please. Carman. All right. Next we got Andrea Crouch. I actually never knew how to pronounce his name. Against the Imperials. And I gotta admit that never really got into Crouch. Not saying that I didn't like him, but I just with a lot of these older artists, it was kind of dependent on whether my parents listened to them or not. And my parents were definitely more Imperials people, and me too. There's a few songs by the Imperials that I definitely enjoy, and I gotta educate myself on Crouch. And I couldn't name a song by him, but I am aware of him. But sorry, I'm more of an Imperials dude, so I'm gonna go with them. All right, next up, we got Keith Green against Phil Keaggy. I love Phil Keaggy. He's such a talented guy, incredible guitar player. And I've always had sometimes his voice is just not as strong for me, and it's like he's definitely more of a guitar player than a singer, and he's a good songwriter too, but he does not. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, he just does not compare to Keith. Keith was so influential in my life. I wouldn't be surprised if Keith Green just makes it all the way to the final round. He's definitely up there for me. So, sorry, got to go with the green. All right, we got Rich Mullins against Twyla Paris. I never knew how to pronounce her name right, but Rich Mullins, I'm sorry, a lot more influential. I need to do a deeper dive into his music. Of course, I know a lot of Rich's music, but there's a lot more that I could know, that I could be familiar with, that's for sure. So, but yeah, sorry, Rich Mullins. And then we got Stryper versus Larry Norman, and I'm sorry, never really was a big metal, especially like 80s metal guy. Stryper is definitely very influential, but Larry Norman is, I'm sorry, there's a reason why he's called the the father of Christian rock. And I just love him. I love his music. So it's nothing personal. And speaking of Christian metal, we got Petra versus the Winans. Now, I know Bevy and Cece Winans, but who were the Winans? Is that just their family? I should have looked this up before. And I was never really that big into Petra, but I am at least aware of them, and I can name a couple of their songs. The Winans, okay. Ain't no need to. Oh, their songs have got over 1 million streams, I guess. Their parents later recorded together as Mom and Pop Winans, and their other family spin-off acts include Daniel, Vicky, brother and sister, Baby, and Cece. Okay, so it's just a whole family of Winans. So they're just all related, and it's just an all guys group. I can't say that I'm familiar with them, though. I'm much more familiar with Petra, so I'm sorry. I got to go with The Rock, Petra. Now, Bibby and CeCe Winans versus Whiteheart. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that Whiteheart existed until like a few years ago. But I grew up with my mom listening to the heck out of Baby and CeCe. I listen to their Christmas album like every year. It's such a vibe, you know, like good old R&B, you know, R&B gospel, whatever. So I'm going to have to go with Baby and CeCe. I'll type it out like they did. I'm sorry to all the Whiteheart fans. I know there's a lot of you guys. This whole thing is going to be a cluster with the text. I should have picked smaller text, but I don't know how to change that. All right, Sixpence None the Richer versus Plank Eye. I'm going to be honest. I also need to do a deep dive into Plank Eye. I'm a lot more familiar with Sixpence None the Richer. So, and plus you got Steve Taylor co-writing some of their music. I don't know how much of it, but they definitely... He co-wrote, I think he co-wrote Kiss Me. All right, MXPX versus Delirious. This is another situation where I wasn't really big into either artist, but I am more familiar with Delirious than I am with MXPX. I know there's a lot of people watching that are going to be upset, but it's like I can't really name an MXPX song. I can name a Delirious song, a few of them. So as much as people kind of blame them for like the trend, how Christian music trended towards worship music, but at least they were cool about it though. They had some cool music. All right. Okay, here's a big one. Newsboys versus Audio Adrenaline. It's a good one, but I'm sorry going with Newsboys. As long as we're talking about the 90s and early 2000s, Audio Adrenaline, of course, is great. And I feel like they're not talked about enough in the CCM world, CCM Twitter and such. So I feel bad for not letting them win, but you guys know I'm a newsboy boy, so I can't help myself. All right, next we got Michael W. Smith versus Jars of Clay. I'm sorry, Smitty, but definitely more of a Jars of Clay guy. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands ever. They've written a lot of my favorite music. Michael W. Smith, I am aware of his influence, of course, and I know a lot of his music. And he was a big pioneer in Christian music, but sorry, got to go with the Jar Boys. They're incredible songwriters and musicians. So, and it's more of my vibe. So, yeah. Third Day versus DC Talk. This is almost kind of unfair. I feel like Third Day is pretty big, but DC Talk, you know, they're kind of one of the darlings of Christian music, that's for sure. So, sorry, never really was a big Third Day guy. I appreciate them a lot more these days than I used to, but yeah. Sorry, DC Talk takes the crown on that one for sure. Jackie Velasquez versus the OC Supertones. Another situation where I wasn't big into either of them, but I knew them. See, my relationship with Jackie Velasquez is more of listening to my sisters listen to her. They were pretty big fans of her. And also, I will admit that when I was a kid, I kind of crushed on her because I would see her pictures and be like, wow, that is a beautiful woman. Well, maybe I wouldn't say that as like a 10-year-old, but like I definitely crushed on her. But I can't say that was because of her music. I think that there's a lot more that I appreciate about the Supertones than I do with Jackie. So I'm just going to go with the OC. All right. Stephen Curtis Chapman versus Starflyer 59. This is
This is tough because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I should be more into Starflyer 59 than I actually am. As much as I love the Martin brothers and their music, I got to say that I haven't taken the time that I've wanted to really dive into Starflyer 59. So I'm sorry to say I'm a lot more familiar with Stephen Curtis Chapman, and there's a lot more that I appreciate from him. So yeah, I'm really sorry, because I feel like if I knew more Starflyer 59, I might pick them more. But Stephen Curtis Chapman is also, he's just like he's a goat, you know? He's the goat, man. Now, maybe not the goat, but like, I think a lot of people are starting to realize the amount of influence that he had in the Christian music world. And that's really cool to see. So, but yeah, I'm going to have to go with Chapman on this one. Next we got Kirk Franklin versus PFR. PFR is another band that I need to familiarize myself with. I know a lot more Kirk Franklin. I'm not like huge into Kirk Franklin, but there's, you know, you can't go wrong with Do You Want a Revolution, you know, and all that. I can't name a PFR song. I know who they are, but I need to listen to more of them. So I'm sorry, I'm going with Franklin on this one. All right, jumping over to the early 2000s, we've got Skillet versus, gosh, you know what? I'm going to have to blaze through this. Okay, Skillet versus Falling Up. Falling Up, definitely. Skillet had no chance with this one. Mary Mary versus Under Oath. What the heck kind of a comparison is that? Even though they're not Christian anymore, Under Oath has some great music. Casting Crowns versus Stacey Orico. I never thought I would say this, but I'm going with Casting Crowns. Wasn't big. Stacey Orico was just never my thing, and while I hated on Casting Crowns for years, there's more music that I appreciate from them than I do with Stacey Orico personally. POD versus Pillar. We're gonna go with POD. POD is just kind of the better version, and they have a lot more diversity in their music than Pillar does. Mercy Me versus Reliant K. What kind of question is that even? Miss me with that Mercy Me stuff. 1,000 Foot Crutch. Emery. We're going with Emery. 1,000 Foot Crutch versus Emery. Emery for sure. Never was a big 1,000 Foot Crutch guy. Not really my style. Switchfoot versus Amber Lynn is a tough one. This was not fair. Like, but I know I'm going to spoil the results of the tournament, but I know that Switchfoot won by like a huge margin against Amber Lynn, but I'm sorry. And I know that hurt a lot of people, but I'm sorry. Amber Lynn is my personal favorite. I love John Foreman and his stuff, but I appreciate Amber Lynn's discography more personally, and I feel like they've influenced me a lot more. So Lifehouse versus Me Without You. Me Without You, because I only know like a few songs from Lifehouse. Because you're all I want. Okay. NF versus Disciple. I have not jumped onto the NF bandwagon, and I used to love Disciple, so there's a lot still to appreciate about them, so I'm going with Disciple. Maverick City Music versus Chris Tomlin. Not a Chris Tomlin guy personally, and as much as the problems that I have with Maverick City Music, there's a lot more music that I appreciate from them than I do Chris Tomlin. So Lauren Daigle versus Sanctus Real. If we're not including current Sanctus Real, I mean, honestly, if we just take the album The Face of Love, obvious winner. So for me, that's pretty easy, actually. Lauren is talented for sure, but like Sanctus Real had some good stuff. Sanctress. You know, I'm just going to keep it like that. Sanctress Real. They were so good back in the day before Matt Hammett left. Even before Matt Hammett left, they were kind of going downhill. But The Face of Love is so good. Then you got other good jams like
Say It Loud and Turn the Tide? I can't remember. But then like We Need Each Other and all that. Pieces of a Real Heart was pretty good too. They got great stuff. So, all right, Elevation versus Need to Breathe. Sorry, but that's pretty obvious to me. Need to Breathe. Hillsong Worship versus Hillsong Worship / United versus For King and Country. This is kind of tough. You guys know that I've had issues with oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to block those other names before. This is my bad, but you guys heard me. I have problems with Hillsong Worship, and I don't think For King and Country has been a consistent band. I definitely appreciate more of their older stuff than their newer stuff, but Hillsong Worship every once in a while comes out with some good stuff, and they definitely had some good jams back in the early days with like Take It All and such. And while I do have problems with them as a worship band, and well, I have problems with modern worship in general, I'm just gonna go with my gut and just go back to the years where I did love Hillsong Worship and just base it off of that, because they at least know how to write some good music, some good jams. Whether they're good worship songs, that's in question, but we're just gonna go with them. Sorry For King and Country, you just need to be more consistent. Sleeping at Last versus Toby Mac. I have never liked Sleeping at Last. Sorry, way too sleepy for me. Tori Kelly versus Lecrae. Not big on either of them, but I'm going to go with Lecrae. Owl City versus Andrew Peterson. I'm sorry, Adam Young. You're a talented guy, but Andrew Peterson, he's just he's also underappreciated. I think a lot. He's probably. I feel like he's kind of the Stephen Curtis Chapman of our time. But as much as I love a lot of the Owl City jams, Andrew Peterson is, I think, a lot more better of a songwriter. Okay, gonna blaze through these. We've got Steven Taylor versus Carmen. Sorry, gonna go with Steve. Obviously, the Imperials versus Keith Green. Keith Green for sure. Rich Mullins versus Larry Norman. Ooh, that's tough, but gonna have to go with Larry. Sorry, more of a Larry guy personally. Petra versus Bebby and CeCe Winans. I'm gonna go with Bebe and CeCe Winans. Sixpence None the Richer versus Delirious. Sixpence. I'm not even gonna type that all out. Newsboys versus Jars of Clay. That is really tough for me, actually, because Jars of Clay, up until recently, maybe, they've been my favorite, like, currently recording Christian artists, but they haven't even, like, released anything except for Christmas music lately. But no, I think it's a pretty clear winner for me. Newsboys, classic Newsboys. DC Talk versus OC Supertones. Going to go with DC Talk, of course. Stephen Curtis Chapman versus Kirk Franklin. Sorry, not even a question. And it's not because you're black. It's because Stephen Curtis Chapman is white. No. Sorry. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm sorry. I just like Stephen Curtis Chapman more. Falling Up versus Under Oath. I'm gonna go with Under Oath. Casting Crowns versus POD. Sorry, I mean you can't go wrong with Satellite, even though I haven't really listened to a whole lot else by POD. But Reliant K versus Emery. That's a good one, but gonna go with Reliant K. Gonna type it wrong that way. Amberlyn versus Me Without You. This is I know who the winner is, but I feel bad though. But for me personally, it's Amberlyn. I listened to Amberlyn a lot longer than I did Me Without You. I got into Me Without You a lot later. This is tough, but I'm going with Amberlyn. Disciple versus Maverick City Music. Gonna go with Disciple. Gotta love the Battle of St. Augustine. That's a great track. Sanctus Real versus Need to Breathe. Need to Breathe is a lot more consistent of an artist. I'm sorry, guys, but going with Need to Breathe. Hillsong versus Toby Mac. Personally going to go with Toby Mac because, man, I just, the caps lock is going crazy. There's a lot more that I appreciate. I like a lot of Toby's older albums and some of his new stuff. He comes out with something good every once in a while. Lecrae versus Andrew Peterson. Sorry, going with Andrew. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Why am I apologizing? Okay, round 3. Steve Taylor versus Keith Green. Really tough, but going with Mr. Green in the ballroom. Larry Norman versus Baby and Sissy Winans. Going with Larry. Sixpence versus Newsboys. Not really much of a competition there, honestly. Going with Newsboys. DC Talk versus Steven Curtis Chapman. Sorry, DC Talk. I gotta be honest, because that is what I jammed as a kid. I didn't jam much Chapman as a kid. I jammed a lot more DC Talk. Okay, Under Oath versus POD. Man, I didn't really expect Under Oath really to make it this far, considering that they're not Christians anymore. Reliant K versus Amberlynn. That's also really tough. But, I'm sorry. Gotta go with Amberlynn. Reliant K is great, but Amberlynn, they've always just been one of my all-time favorites for years. Disciple versus Need to Breathe. Not even a question for me. Toby Mac versus Andrew Peterson. Gotta go with Andrew. Sorry. I keep apologizing. I don't know why. I just gotta own my decisions. All right. Round 4 for me. Keith Green versus Larry Norman. This is like a showdown of the century here. But I'm sorry. I'm not gonna apologize. Keith Green, more of a Keith Green guy, personally. Both were incredibly influential, but in terms of being influential to me, Keith Green all the way. Newsboys DC Talk, talking about the showdown of the century. I mean, I had an episode on Newsboys versus DC Talk a while back, so you guys can check that out. I'm sorry, it was always Newsboys. I apologized again, but I'm not sorry. Always going to be Newsboys. Under Oath versus Amberlynn. I think this is where Under Oath finally gets defeated. Both had great music. I love Define the Great Line. Even Disambiguation, which was made after they said that they weren't a Christian band anymore. I think it still worked because I think there were still members in the band that were Christian, and I don't think they are anymore. But I loved Disambiguation even after Aaron Gillespie left. I think that was their last great album. Well, it was supposed to be their last album, and then they came back and they suck. It has nothing to do with their faith, actually. Their music is just bad now. So, yeah. Anyways, Need to Breathe versus Andrew Peterson. This is tough because I've been listening to Need to Breathe a lot more than Andrew Peterson, but I've been really getting into Andrew Peterson lately, but I feel like I would want to pick Andrew Peterson just because that's the expectation that I feel from everyone. So I feel like it wouldn't be honest. I think in my heart, they're tied right now with the potential that Andrew Peterson could be better in my mind. But I feel like that wouldn't be honest because there's still a lot more Andrew Peterson that I have to listen to. I know a lot more Need to Breathe. I'm familiar with a lot more of their albums than I am with Andrew Peterson, and I love a lot of it. I gotta be honest. I'm sorry, Andrew. I don't want to be fake, so I'm going with that. All right, 5th round. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is not fair. Keith Green versus the Newsboys. Man. You know what? When I think about it, if I'm honest with myself, I know, because Take Me to Your Leader is my favorite album of all time. And Keith Green's albums none of his albums really reach the top 10 for me, but they're definitely like in top 20, top 50 at least. Yes, Newsboys suck right now. They're not good, but I think their good definitely outweighs the bad. Like, you can't touch Take Me to Your Leader. No matter how many terrible albums Newsboys come out with, you cannot touch Take Me to Your Leader. And you can't even touch other albums like Love, Liberty, Disco, Thrive, Going Public, all those other ones. They stand. So gonna have to go with Newsboys, and they're probably gonna win. A lot of you are probably listening and watching and being like, "This is not new. We expected this." Like, yeah, probably. But okay, Anne Boleyn versus Need to Breathe. Yeah, definitely Anne Boleyn. Not really even a question for me. Anne Boleyn would totally smoke Andrew Peterson. I'm sorry, but wow. This is not what I expected. Newsboys okay, maybe who the winner actually is going to be is not that surprising, but I didn't really expect Newsboys and Anne Boleyn to really come up against each other. But I guess that's how it is. So, The Lord of the Dance, which I like that. Gonna have to go with Newsboys. Sorry, but I don't make the rules. I mean, I guess I do, but yeah, so Newsboys wins. No one is surprised. But you guys can make your own tournament by going to Eric McClanahan's Twitter or at InEverGlow and do your own CCM tournament. But even better yet, you can participate in the actual tournament, which I'm just going to do a quick update, and then we'll be getting to the end of the episode. I just want to see where we're at, who's in the lead with the CCM tournament. Okay, so far, and I'm pretty sure this is the most recent update. If not, I apologize. Most recent update right now, in the 70s and 80s, we've got Amy Grant going against Carmen, Andrea Crouch going up against Keith Green, Rich Mullins going up against Stryper. Wow, Stryper won over Larry Norman. That's crazy. Petra won over the Winans. Whiteheart won over Bebby and Cece Winans. Sixpence None the Richer won against Plank Eye. MXPX won against Delirious, of course. Newsboys won against Audio Adrenaline. Jaws Clay won against Michael W. Smith. DC Talk won against Third Day. Supertones won against Jackie Velasquez. Stephen Curtis Chapman won against Starflyer 59. PFR won against Kirk Franklin. Skillet won against Falling Up. Under Oath won against Mary, of course. Casting Crowns won against Stacey Orico. POD won against Pillar. Reliant K won against Mercy Me. 1,000 Foot Crutch won against Emery. Wow, really? Wow. Okay. Switchfoot won against Anne Boleyn, of course. Me Without You won against Lifehouse. NF won against Disciple. Chris Tomlin won against Maverick City Music. It's crazy. Sanctus Real actually won against Lauren Daigle. Need to Breathe won against Elevation Worship. For King and Country won against Hillsong Worship. Surprisingly. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's pretty close. Toby Mac won against Sleeping at Last. And Lecrae won against Tori Kelly. And Andrew Peterson won against Owl City. Although that was really close. That was like 50. Andrew Peterson won by 50%. 50.4. That's crazy. So yeah, you guys can participate, and he's going to be, posting all the new polls for you to vote on, and it's a really fun time. So CCM tournament, or you can, instead of looking him up, you can just look up hashtag CCM tournament or CCM Twitter, and it should come up. So yeah. Anyways, we're going to get to the end of the episode, but first, it's time for my humble opinion. Like I said, there's been a lot of really good releases lately, and it's been difficult trying to catch up on them. Most of them are kind of singles, so it kind of makes it easier. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a few of them. A lot of big releases from big artists that I especially talk about a lot on this show, so that's fun. So first off, we've got the new album from Young Oceans, Somehow I Know It's Love. Now, generally, you have two kinds of artists. You have artists that have music that takes you soaring to different places and they take you on an adventure. But then you have artists like Eric from Young Oceans who prefer to stay at home, so to speak. But Eric does a fantastic job at exploring every single room in that house. His music is simple yet still complex. He limits himself with his sound, but he makes sure to explore that sound with every possible different sound he can. I love all the little intricacies to what could have been a very boring album, honestly, if any other artist had attempted the same thing. But it's you've got beautiful devotional lyrics with the backdrop of lovely little soundscapes. While it's a chill album, but it's not at all boring at all. It's I feel like it's going to end up being one of my favorite albums from this year. So yeah, definitely go check out Somehow I Know It's Love by Young Oceans. All right, next up, we've got an artist that I have not had the chance to talk about yet, but I'm excited to talk about today. And it's a new single called Call Me Down by Jonathan Allen Wright. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan Allen Wright, of course, he's an independent artist, but he also has his own YouTube channel that I highly recommend. He's got a lot of fun stuff, content that is related to Christian music as well. So it should be right up your alley. But he released a new song, which, by the way, fun little connection here, was also produced by Spencer Annis, who produced my track. Well, I guess not produced. I guess mixed and mastered. Sometimes I get those two confused. Unless he did produce that track. I technically produced my own track, but Spencer Annis mixed and mastered both of our tracks. So there's a fun little connection there. I still have not interacted with Jonathan Allen Wright, but I would like to. So, senpai, notice me. But with this song, Call Me Down, honestly, I haven't been able to get enough of this song. It may not seem like at first because it's such a chill song, but it's incredibly catchy. The instrumentation, it doesn't seek to show off, but it's so beautiful and confident in its beauty. Like if you're really listening to it, you can hear and be like, oh, that was really cool. That's like a really cool piano part. Or that's a cool like cello part. But it's a wonderful song telling the story of Zacchaeus as it becomes a song about desire for our Savior and how he calls us to him and calls us home. It's a really beautiful song, and I recommend you check it out. And check out his other music, but this new one is I've been a really big fan of lately. So, Call Me Down, Jonathan Allen Wright. All right, big release from one of my favorite artists, Josh Garrels, finally releasing more music. I mean, he released a single last year, but he's releasing more, and he's working on a new album, working on releasing it. I don't know if it's done yet, but he's got a new track called Watchmen. And this song is an encouragement to all Christians. Josh sings of all the dark times he's been through, especially the times that have caused his friends to fall astray, on the topic of deconstruction. But even through all of that, Josh still chooses to wait on the Lord and his promises. It's a beautiful folk rock track that crescendos and has plenty of soul to it. So it's a nice track, and I can't wait for the rest of the album. So that's Watchmen by Josh Garrels.
Like a watchman at the gate, I'm waiting for morning.
All right, another big release from a favorite artist of a lot of people, actually. We've got new music coming out from John Foreman, of Switchfoot fame, but, he's got his solo stuff. And it's a track called In Bloom, and it features Jay Oloidokun. Oladokun. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. She's not really that prevalent in the track anyways, more of kind of a backup singer in the song. But it's a new track called In Bloom, and I've probably talked about it on the show about like how much I've loved his early solo stuff. His album Limbs and Branches was my big introduction to him, even though Limbs and Branches was a compilation of his music from his fall, winter, summer, spring EPs, just kind of put together in one album. But that's the one that I knew first. But yeah, I love his early solo stuff. One thing that's been missing from John's most recent solo releases that I love so much about Limbs and Branches and all those season EPs was the creative and detailed production, as well as the songwriting. It's been a while since I've listened to Departures or The Wonderlands, but I remember feeling like those releases were missing that little bit of dirtiness and beauty that I loved about his early stuff. And I personally believe In Bloom is a return to form, actually. It's a fresh new sound, but John is back to wonderfully crafting all these different sounds and turn them into music. John sings about rebirth, change, new life, regrowth. So it's a fun track that's full of life. It's pretty chill, but it's full of life, that's for sure. And so I'm excited for what this new album is going to be. I think it's supposed to be out this summer, I think. So, but this is a good sign for what the rest of the album could sound like. So, that's In Bloom by John Foreman.
I'm a desert in bloom. I'm a desert in bloom.
All right, and that's all I got for my humble opinion. So yeah, good. That's all we got today. Man, I was just reminded this is the last live stream of the show for the foreseeable future. I mean, not like that it makes much difference because there hasn't been much activity in the chat, and that's okay. That's kind of like what I talked about when I was when I first gave out the idea of not going live anymore with the show. So, but I wanted to say thank you guys so much for the support that you have given me and all the people who have interacted in the chats and made the shows more interesting. Definitely don't go away. Keep commenting on stuff, and I'm definitely going to keep reading your comments, and most, if not all of them, I'll read on the show. So I definitely love that feedback and interaction, but I think that this is going to be for the better, because even today the show wasn't 100% smooth in terms of all the technological stuff. So it being a pre-recorded show, I think is going to look a lot better, and I think you guys are going to appreciate that more. Hopefully, we'll see. But I'm excited, and I think it'll take a lot of pressure off me as well. So we'll see how the show goes. Either way, I'm not going anywhere. So Trying to think what else. Okay, so next episode is going to be another interview episode, and it's going to be with my friend. I already mentioned him today, Nick Gundy. He played bass on my track, but he's actually also a musician and songwriter himself. And so, and I've known him for a long time, and so it's going to be a good conversation, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. So be sure to tune in for that. Trying to think. I finished up the Newsboys and Deconstruction video, and that's out. Oh yeah, and I already talked about it. I'm doing the Winter Jam video, so I'll be working on that next. So that's what's up. Am I forgetting anything? No, I think it's time to head out. So let's just go ahead and do it. All right, so thanks again for watching this show. This is so bittersweet. The last live stream. But thanks so much for watching the I'm Clifford Today show. Be sure to like and subscribe, show some support. Really appreciate it. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and whatever, if you're the podcast that you listen to, if you can leave a rating and review, just do it. Just go ahead and do it. I'm Clifford Today, my Clips channel. You can go subscribe to that for like highlight videos and clips and such. Podwood Forecast, I mentioned before, we have our favorite films of 2023 episode that just went up a few days ago. So go check that out for sure. It's a fun time. Merch, got merch in the description, t-shirts and such. Also Cliff's Picks playlist. All the stuff that I talked about in my humble opinion and the Spotlight Artist today, that's all been updated on the Cliff's Picks playlist. Link in the description. So I'll see you guys in a couple weeks with my interview with Nick Gundy, and we're going to be working on that Winter Jam video. So remember, I'm Clifford Today, and you're not. See y'all later. Love you so much. God bless. Bye.